Hello dear students, how are you? I wish all of you will be healthy and safe. So student, in this video you are going to learn some SQL constraints. So first of all you should know what are constraints. So constraints are used to specify rules for the data in a table. If you want to input a data in a table according to some rules, for this you have to use some constraints. Okay, so constraints are used to limit the type of data that can go into a table, and it ensures the accuracy and reliability of the data in a table. Okay, basically we use the constants to get the accurate data in a table. If there is any violation between the constant and the data, then action will be about it. If incorrect data or the data which is not following the rules, okay, it will not be entered. Okay, so SQL provide the following constants: not null, unique, primary key, default, check, foreign key, and auto number. Okay, so I will discuss all these constraints one by one. And then first one is not null constraint. Okay, so as the name suggests, not null means cannot be leave blank. If you specify the not null constant for a column, in this case you will never leave that particular column blank. Okay, so by default a column can hold null values. By default a column can hold a null values. If you not input any data in a column, it will be treated as null value. But if you want to restrict to input any value, enter at least one value, any values, in this case you have to use not null constant. It enforces a column to not accept null values, means you cannot leave it blank. And this enforces a field to always contain a value, which means you cannot insert a new record or update a record without adding a value. Okay, so this is about the not null constraint. The format is very simple. Whenever you create a table, you can specify it. You create table name, column name, data type. After that you will write down the not null keyword. It is not case sensitive, you can write it in a small case also. Okay, let's see how can we use this not null constraint. Okay, this is my SQL window. So first of all, see the list of databases. So show databases. Okay, now SQL is my database, so use it. Use SQL. Okay, so I have to apply a not null constant on create table. So now I am creating a new table. Create table, for example, employee. Create table employee, and my first field is employee ID, and data type is integers, and I want to make it as a not null. Okay, so write down here not null means whenever I input a record, this field will never be left blank. Okay, next is emp name. Okay, data type is varchar. So 32 characters. Okay, now okay, so now time to insert the data. Write down the insert into employee and values. The first value is 1234, employee ID is 1234, and name is Mitab. Okay, now query okay, record is inserted successfully. If you leave it blank, what will happen? Insert into employee, and the field is employee name. Now I am leaving employee ID as blank. I am not inputting the value in employee ID. Then what will happen in this case? And values, okay, here shark. Now you can see employee ID doesn't have a default value. It means you have to input here any value. You can not leave it as a blank. Okay, so this is the advantage of using not null constraints. Okay, if I want to apply not null constraint on employee name also, so in this case you have to use the alter table name is employee, alter table name, and use modify modify the data type is employee name, sorry, employee name, and the data type is varchar, down here, and here write down not null. So in this way you can apply. Okay, now I have applied the not null constant to employee name also. If you have forgot to apply the not null constant, so using alter table name, using alter command, you can modify it. Okay, so this is the way to apply the not null constant. So how to drop it? Okay, the dropping is very simple. If you want to drop it, so again use alter table name is employee, and write down modify keyword. The modify data type is employee id, and write down the data type integer. Okay, this is the simple way to remove the not null constant. Okay, students. Okay, let's move to the next constraint, that is unique constraint. As the name suggests, unique means a value in different value, that is called unique constant. It means in a column you will contain a unique value. A unique constant ensures that all values in a column are different. You cannot enter the duplicate values in a column. Okay, so the unique and primary constant provide a guarantee for uniqueness. So primary key also used to stop the duplicacy of data. Similarly, unique also used to stop the duplicacy of data. But the difference is that primary key constant automatically contain unique constant. If you apply the primary key constant, it means it is also automatically by default it has unique constraint. But difference between unique and unique constant primary key constant is that you can apply unique constant to multiple column, but primary key constant will be applied to a single column. So this is the difference between unique and primary key. Okay, so how can we apply unique constants? It's very simple. Like not null, we will apply the unique constant also. Create table name, column name, data type, and write down unique keyword. Okay, basically it is used to enter the unique values. Okay, if you want to use it with alter command, you will write down alter table and modify column name, data type, and unique. Okay, the format is simple, similar as we use it for not null. Okay, if you want to drop, so write down here drop keyword, drop index and column name. Okay, let's see how. So first of all, drop. So I'm dropping my drop table. Drop command is used to delete the table, delete the database. Okay, if you want to delete any object, use drop command. The drop table and here. Okay, now I am again creating the table. Create table employee. Okay, and the field is employee id integer type, and I will apply the unique. Okay, it will be unique. And next field is employee name. You can use according to your requirement. Okay, what is the creatable employee? What is the okay, the data type is missing, that's why it is creating the problem. Create table employee teacher and varchar. Data type is necessary. Okay, so you upside on the insert into employee values. Here I'm using 1 2 3 and the name is Amitabh. Okay, record is successfully inserted. If I use here, I am changing the name Govinda. Okay, but here the employee ID is same, but here you have we have defined the employee ID will be unique. So what will happen if we uh, enter the same employee ID? So now you can see duplicate entry 1 2 3 for key employee ID. since you have defined employee ID as you have defined the constant unique for the employee ID, so in this case it will not allow to enter the duplicate value. Okay, so this is about the unique key constraint. Okay, so next constraint is primary key constraint. Okay, it is a very important constraint. So why do we use the primary key? Basically, primary key is uniquely identifies each record. Okay, and it contains unique values. A primary key must contain unique values as well as it cannot contain null values. Okay, in 10th class I have told you about the primary key. The primary key is primary contains unique values and it will not allow null values. A table can have only one primary key, and in a table this primary key can consist of single or multiple columns. Okay, you can apply primary key single or multiple columns, but in a table you can have only one primary. Okay, why do we use the primary key? So primary key is used to contain the unique values and it will not allow null values. Okay, the syntax is very simple. Create table, table name, column name, data type, and primary. Okay, if you are using the primary key at the time of creating table, so use the syntax. If you want to apply the primary key after creating the table to a particular field, and in this case you have to use alter command. Alter table, table name, add primary key and write on the particular column name. If you want to drop it, so it's very simple. Alter table, table and drop primary. Okay, let's let's do it. How can we use the primary key? Let's see. So first of all, drop the table, drop table emp. Okay, now create table employee. The first field is employee ID. Okay, and I want to make it unique and I am not allowing the null values also. So for this I will use the primary key, employee ID integer, and write down here primary key. Very simple. Next field is employee name. Okay, here I define not null. Okay, why we are using the not null? I do not want to leave it blank. That's why I'm using not null. Okay, let's see. Oh, again I am missing the data type. Data type is a back. Okay. If you insert the data, insert into employee and the values. Okay, the first value is 1 2 3 4 and second value is Hariyo. Okay, okay, if we apply the second value, insert into employee values 1 2 3 4 and Hariyo. Let's now duplicate entry again 1 2 3 4 for the primary key. The primary key is applied to a particular field employee ID, so it will not allow duplicate values. Next one is, and here I am leaving it blank, employee. Here employee name, I am taking only employee name, not employee ID. So in this case it will not apply. Okay, so employee ID doesn't have a default value, so that it means you will not leave it blank. So this is the advantage of using primary key. Okay, if you want to drop it, it's very simple. Alter table, table name is employee, and write down here drop primary key. Okay, so in this way you you will apply the primary key, and using the alter table, table name, drop primary key. Okay, in this way you will drop the primary key. Okay, students, so let's move to the next constraint. So next constraint is default constraint. As the name said, that default means a value that will come by default. Okay, the default constraint used to provide a default value for a column. There is no need to write down the value for a column. The default value will be entered automatically. Okay, so the default value will be added to all new records if no other value is specified. If you do not enter a record in a column, then it will take a default value. Okay, default specified value. Okay, let's see how. The syntax is very simple. Create table name and default, use default and write down the default value which you want to enter. Okay, let's see. Okay, here, so first of all, drop table. Yeah. Okay, use create table employee. Here employee id, it will be data type integer and apply primary key. Okay, so next is employee name varchar and data type is not null. Constant will be not null. And the last one is city and default. And I want to assign the default value. The default value is Hathras. Okay, because most of the employee belongs to Hathras. So write down here Hathras. Okay, what is the problem? Okay. Oh, table employee city. Here you write down the varchar data type. Okay, varchar. That's why it is this. Okay, so what will happen? You have decided that the default value is Hathras if you do not enter the data. Let's see how. If you use insert into employee, okay, and there is a first field is employee ID and the second field is employee name, but I am not using city. Okay, because I have decided that the default value will be Hathras. If I will not enter the data in city. By default it will take Hathras. Let's see values. First value is 1 2 3 4 and the second value name is Ravi. Now if you want to see the record, select asterisk from table name is employee. Now you can see by default the city is Hathras. There is no need to input the data Hathras again and again. Okay, if you want to input the another data, suppose that the city of the employee is not Hathras, that is Aligarh. So in this case you have to write down the Aligarh. Let's see how. Insert into employee ID, employee name. Here you have to write down the city and write down the city here. Now city is Aligarh, not Hathras. So okay. Okay, what is the problem? Okay, 1 2 3 4 is repeated, that's why it is raising the problem. Okay, now you can see Aligarh. Okay, if you do not enter the data to a particular field, then it will take by default value. If you enter the data, then much better. Okay, so this is the use of default key constraint. Okay, if you want to drop it, so let's, it's very simple. Use alter command, alter table name is employee, alter table name, and use alter. Field name is city, field name is city, and write down drop default. In this case, using this command, you can remove the default constraint. Okay, students, so this is about the default key constraint. Let's move to the next constraint, that is check constraint. Okay, as the name says, the check constraint checks the value. Check constraint is used to limit the value range that can be placed in a column. Okay, so here you define the range that will be input in your column. Syntax is very simple. Suppose you have a field in a table, is salary, and if you want to bound the salary should be greater than 10,000. So in this so for this you will use the check constraint. Like the syntax is very simple. Create table name and column name data type and use check constraint and write down the field name and operator, then value. For example, like this. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, create table and table name is employee. Okay, and the column name is salary. like this. So it will be of integer type. So here write down the check constraint, check salary. This is the column name. Column name is salary, and salary must be greater than equals to 10,000. So it means it will always take a value more than 10,000 or more than 10,000. Less than 10,000 will not be accepted in this table in salary field. So this is the use of check constraint. Okay. So here you can define the range. So if you want to apply the check constraint using alter table, use alter table name, add check constraint and write down the statement like this, column name, operator and value. If you want to drop it, use drop constraint check like this. Okay. So this check constraint is used for higher version, not lower version. That's why I am not using in my SQL. Okay, if you have the higher version, you can use it, but I have the lower version. That's why I am not using it. It will not work on lower version. It will work on higher version. Okay. So let's move to the next constraint. That is foreign key constraint. Okay. So foreign key is a key used to link two tables. Why do we use a foreign key? So foreign key is used to link two tables together. Okay. So the foreign key is a field in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. If you in a table, if you assign the primary key, foreign key. What is foreign key? Foreign key basically is the collection of field or a field which refers to a primary key to another table. Basically, the values of this one table is depend on another table. Let's see how. So to know more about foreign key, let's see this example. So here I have two tables, teachers table and student tables. Okay, so in teachers table I have two fields, teacher ID and teacher name. So teacher ID 1234, teacher name is Salman Khan, 1235 Shahrukh Khan and Amir Khan. Okay. So now, and in student table I have student ID, student name and teacher ID. So here I am using the teacher code which exists in teachers table. Okay, so now 1234 exists in this table. The teacher name is Salman Khan. Okay, now here this student basically belongs to suppose it belongs to 11th class, and 1234 is the class teacher of 11th class. So in this case, who will be the class teacher of Rohit Sharma? Obviously 1234. Sorry, 1234. Let's see. So it means in this the class teacher of these students will lie from will belong from this teachers table. If you write down here, suppose if you write down here 1256, so it is correct or not? No, it is not correct because 1256 does not exist in teachers table. Okay, basically these values depends on these values. So basically these are foreign key field and these are primary key field. This is the parent table and this is the child table, because the values of this column totally depend on this column. If you write down enter any value that does not exist in this column will not be accepted here. Okay, if you write down here the value that exists here, then it will be accepted. So this is about the foreign key. So in this case, this is the foreign key field and this is the primary key field, and this is the parent table or this is the child table. Okay. So the foreign key constraint also prevents invalid data from being inserted into the foreign key column, because it has to be one of the values contained to the table it points to. Means here the values exist, the value which you are writing here, it should be in this column. Okay. Okay, the syntax is very simple. So this is, so in my example, this is the table 1 and this is the table 2. This is table 1 and this is table 2. See. Okay. So next one is, so what is the syntax to assign the primary key? It's very simple. Create table 2. Okay. I am assuming that my table 1 is created. Okay, so here write down the column name and data type and write down the constraint, write down the constraint name here, foreign key, and column name, and write down the references from which table you are getting the values, and write down the table. Here I am using the table 1. Table 1 is the parent table and table 2 is the child table. Okay, let's see. How can we use the foreign key? Let's see. So to understand this foreign key, first of all I am creating table. Create table teachers. Okay, the first field is teacher id, and it will be of integer type, and write down the primary. Okay. Next field is teacher name, and here where okay, and insert the value, insert into teachers values, and now first 1 2 3 4, and the name is someone. Okay, 1 2 3 5, and here I done shark. The next field is 1 2 3 6, okay, select asterisk from teachers, select asterisk from, okay, sorry, select. Now I have these values. So this is the table of teachers. Here I have these values. Now how can we apply foreign key? So create table students. The first field is student id. Okay, it will be of integer type. Here I am applying primary key. So next field is student name, where and I am applying not null. Okay. The next field is teacher id. Now you have to remember the data type of this teacher id, and this should be same, integer. Teacher id integer. Okay. Now, how can we apply the foreign key? Let's see. So first of all, write down constraint, and here write down the constraint name. Okay, my constraint name is tid. Okay, write down the constant name ftid, f underscore tid. This is the constant name. Write down foreign key and select the field on which you want to apply the foreign key, that is teacher underscore id. This is the field where I want to apply the foreign key. So teacher id, and references. Name of the first table is teachers, and the field name is teacher id. Okay. Okay, the problem is that I am writing the spelling of references incorrect. Okay, this is the problem. So create table student, primary key is teacher id, and next references. Okay, now first of all select asterisk from teachers. teachers. Now I have the record. Now insert into students values. The first value is for student ID. Student ID is 111. Student name Rohit Sharma. Okay, and the teacher ID is 1234. Now you can see record is successfully added. Now what will happen if I write down 1266? Now it will create a problem. Why? The duplicate entry 114. Oh, sorry. 111, because I have sent the primary key 112. Now it will raise a problem because cannot edit, update a child row. Foreign key constant fields. Why? Because 1266 is not in this table, because the your table student is the child table and teacher's table is the parent table. The value of teacher ID here exists. The value of here the teacher ID depend on these values. So that's why it is raising the problem. Okay, students. So this is the way to apply the foreign key. Remember the spelling about references. Okay, REFERENCES, references. Okay, if you want to drop it, it's very simple. Alter table name is students. Alter table students and use drop. The constant name is foreign key, drop foreign key, and constant name is, okay, what was the constant name? F underscore TID. Okay, F underscore TID. Okay, so this is the way to duplicate the foreign key and apply the foreign. Okay, students, let's move to the next constant, that is auto increment field. As the name suggests, it will increase the value by 1 as you enter a new record. There is no need to write down the value again and again. As you enter a record, the value will be automatically increased. Okay, let's see. Suppose I am creating table. Create table. Okay, actor. Create table actor. Okay, so here I am using the serial number. Data type is integer, and by default it will be auto increment. And apply the primary keywords. Okay, so whenever you use the auto increment, use the primary keywords. And actor name varchar. Okay, if we enter the record, let's see, insert into, there is no need to enter the serial number, it will be automatically included. Insert into actors and value. Sorry, here you have to write down the field name, actor name, and values. Actor name is Amitabh. Okay, now see the record. Select restrict from actor. Now you can see serial number 1 is automatically added because you have applied the auto increment constant in serial number. If you input new record, insert into it. Again, if you use the select command, and you can see 1, 2, 3, it will, the serial number is automatically incremented. So this is about the auto increment field. Okay, by default it is the starting value is 1. If you want to start the record to a new value, then use the field alter table name, alter table name, and here write down auto increment, auto underscore increment equals to, suppose my starting value is 100. Okay, So if we insert a record, new record, let's see again. Now you can see the starting value is now 100 and next record is 101. Okay, so this is all about the SQL constants. Okay, so watch this video again and again to know more about SQL constraints. Okay, enough for this session. Thank you, students. Have a nice day. Be healthy. Be safe.